this rally for the 12th anniversary Fukushima catastrophe. Yes, it's been 12 years since the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant had a triple meltdown. And so many people are forgetting about Fukushima. Even the government, Japanese government, let the people forget about. But government also pushing the nuclear energy again. So it's really not time to forget the Fukushima. There are so many problems mounting up now.
And Diablo Canyon.
Of course, Diablo Canyon have problem. Keep on, problem extending the 2025 the supposed to decommissioning, right? They are extending outrageous. So I want to point the few problems out of many problems. Number one is decommissioning. Earlier, the government said in 30 years they're going to finish the decommissioning. But even after 12 years, they cannot start, even retrieve the melting core. The melting core, they're deadly, dangerous radiation level. People cannot close, so that sending the robot, they are broke down. But recently found that concrete foundation which supporting the reactor are very damaged and then blistered, so that we really afraid that the next, any big earthquake, that maybe the reactor might fall. That caused, another big catastrophe. And then remember, still 90%, over the 90% of radioactive materials are still there. And we don't see any clear sight that when it's finished, this decommissioning. And number two, I want to point to the deception and then effectiveness of the decontamination. Remember that Japan is still a state of the nuclear emergency. So the government could raise the safe level from 1 millisievert per year up to 20 millisievert per year. And then they are sending now people to Fukushima, the place where still contaminated area. Even the radioactive materials are not eliminated, so that the what they do is just scrape the soil and then debris into the bag, and then now those bags are mounting up. And now government are trying to spread this contaminated soil over the Japan. Some are big public park in even Tokyo. They want to use this soil to the construction for building road. They want to spread all contaminated soil to Japan. And then the abandoned there, in these chaos, 45 people died. So how we can say that nobody died by this, Fukushima meltdown? Because of radiation, so that the people have to evacuate it, and that's why this chaos, because of the radiation meltdown. And even over 2,300 people is officially recognized deaths related to the Fukushima meltdown. Many people died because of this Fukushima meltdown. And then over 300 people, young people are diagnosed thyroid cancer. 200 people, more than that, is already had a surgery. You know that children, thyroid cancer is very rare. 1 in 100,000 people. But this Fukushima is 6 in 10,000 people. But still the government denied that the cause of this relationship of the meltdown and the thyroid cancer. And then finally, 6 young people sued TEPCO earlier last year, sued and citing causing this meltdown cause for their cancers. And only 6 people sued. This could be really a class action because over 300 people had cancer, but only 6 people. Do you know why? Because those victims, those cancer patients are suppressed to be silent. They couldn't really accuse government or TEPCO to, standing up and then voicing out those they were blamed. It is an obstacle. They are disturbing for the Fukushima reconstruction. But the really problem is government and TEPCO are still denying the cause and their responsibility from the beginning. And number 4 is dumping the contaminated water into the Pacific. Actually, I really suspected that from the early time, the government will dump the water because it started accumulated those contaminated water, like 140 tons every day. They have to put there because to cool down the melted core. And accumulated now is 1.3 million cubic tons and about 1,000 tanks. And now, 2 years ago, Japan government announced that we're going to dump the water to the Pacific. It's more like I feel like a government that is shut up people. We are going to dump the water like that. They really broke their promise. They said that they won't release the water to the Pacific without people's understanding, without people's consent. But they broke promise. The fishermen and people in the area, they are still opposing. The government, the attitude is totally insulting people, and then people in the world, because the ocean is already in a Fukushima meltdown, already made contaminated enough. Then they are going to dump the water to contaminate it more. TEPCO said these waters are safe. And they said, there is the tritium, but the tritium cannot remove from the water. But the other radioactive materials are safe level. But no, they really lied. 2018, they were forced to acknowledge that 70% of water they have now are not the safe level. They are above the radioactive safe level. So what they say? Yes, they said that they're gonna process through the Alps again, then release the water. But can we believe? We never know that how much radioactive material can be removed. And then can you believe that what TEPCO might say? TEPCO already lied us, and we never know. Is this really safe level? And they are now already digging the tunnel to release the water, the place that the people cannot see. We really must oppose from this dumping. And then the number 5, the last I say, I feel like this nuclear renaissance has come back again. Now, last month, for the implementing the GX, that green transformation, the Japanese cabinet approved the policy to allow new nuclear power plant to be built, and then the aged reactors to be operated for more than a current 60 years limit. And it seems this is a nuclear renaissance. It's really start blooming again because of the global warming crisis. But the nuclear energy is not green at all. No. From the mining, transporting, processing the uraniums, make so much greenhouse gas, and also even the nuclear waste, we don't have any solution yet. So we like to really change the policy, nuclear policy in Japan and in the world. And then we want to Japanese government really take care of the all Fukushima victims sincerely. Thank you. So I want to propose one the moment of silence for the people who passed away because of this Fukushima meltdown. And then even the more than 30,000 people are not able to go back to their home yet. And people are still suffering very much. So let's have a moment of silence. So the next speaker is Steve Zelter.
Thank you, brothers and sisters. Before we started the action here, the security guard rushed out and said, Lockheed Martin isn't in this building anymore. Lockheed Martin isn't in this building anymore. So I said, what's going on? We're here for the Japanese consulate. But actually, the Japanese government and Lockheed Martin are connected because they want to make money from nuclear weapons. They want to make money from more war and the war of Ukraine. They're interested in the military-industrial complex is interested in profiteering off of nuclear power plants and nuclear war, and we have to stop it. And you would think 12 years, they lied to us over and over and over again, saying that they could clean it up, they can decontaminate. Didn't Prime Minister Abe say that? It's all decontaminated. What a lie! What a lie! He's a total liar. And he told the Olympic Commission, it's all decontaminated, nothing to worry about. I mean, this guy is a serial liar, a criminal serial liar, in telling people, don't worry, it's all taken care of. And what do we have today? They still have not removed the melted nuclear rods. They still have to cool it down with water. More contamination, more contaminated water. This is criminal. This is insanity. And this Japanese government, along with the U.S. government, Biden, want more nuclear plants. They want more small nuclear plants. Oh, that's better. Let's have a small nuclear plant. I mean, what insanity. I mean, small nuclear plants, they give off radioactive water. I mean, you think about the craziness of capitalism. It's really capitalism and imperialism now that they want to spread out nuclear plants, they want to spread out nuclear weapons, and they want Japan to fully militarize. They want to bring nuclear weapons to Japan. Do we need a militarized Japan? No. Do we need a militarized U.S.? No. We need to put the money and the wealth that's going into the military to people. Yeah. That's really what we need, to healthcare, to human services, so that people aren't dying in the streets in San Francisco today because they're homeless. And clean energy, and we can do it. California and Japan have a lot of sunshine. They can have solar for everyone, but they didn't do that after Fukushima. They didn't put all their resources into more solar power. They put it into more military and more nuclear, preparing the nuclear plants to reopen. And that's what we have today. They want to restart nuclear plants. And in Diablo Canyon, the same thing. The same thing. People voted and wanted the Diablo Canyon to be shut down and solar power to take its place. Instead, this Governor Newsom, was a complete fraud. He represents the billionaires in the nuclear industry. He lied to people and said power shutdowns. We have to keep it open. And the Democrats and Republicans went along with it. There were no hearings. In the middle of the night, they passed a bill to keep that plant open. That's an outrage. That's an outrage. And to make the ratepayers pay, they didn't want people to know what they were doing, so they did it in the middle of the night. And you're talking about democracy. Democracy. Is this democracy? It really shows we need a real political alternative in this country, so that we need a working class party, so people have a choice. I mean, imagine with the warmongers in charge. I mean, more money for military. I mean, $112 billion for the war in Ukraine, and people don't have health care in this country,
and not even houses.
And not houses. And they can't even heat the buildings at City College in San Francisco. We need a general strike. We need a general strike, because a general strike could shut down the war. A general strike would force these companies and businesses to deal with us. All they care about is money. All they care about is profiteering. That's what this system is about, and that's what's driving the world crazy and insane. Really, when you look at this world today, we have insanity going on in this world. I mean, towards a nuclear holocaust. That's where we're going, as if we haven't learned from the Second World War. If we haven't learned from the millions and millions of people died around the world because of war. Do we want another war?
No.
Do we want more nuclear power?
No.
We have to organize, and I'm glad after 12 years, we're still here strong. That says something, that we are not going to be silent. We are going to tell the truth to the people, regardless of how the media covers it up. In fact, the media on the 12th anniversary don't even say that there's still a problem in Fukushima in this country. And they want to dump 1.3 million tons of radioactive water with tritium into the Pacific Ocean. Do we need that?
No.
So we have to start a campaign, and people are going to talk about it here, to get every city council, every governmental body in California to say, no, don't dump that radioactive waste. We don't need it. We don't need it in California. We don't need it in Korea or China. I mean, how much nuclear waste do we need in the oceans? None. None. So we have to stand up, we have to organize, and we have to tell the truth to people and keep strong in organizing, because we have no other choice than our voice. Our voices may be small individually, but they're there, and we have to collectively organize our voices against this rotten, corrupt system, this craziness that says we can solve our energy crisis with more nuclear plants. You have to be insane to support that. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Thank you. Yeah, next, Ricardo.
My name is Ricardo Ortiz, and I'm with United Public Workers for Action and the UCLFP. I just want to start by saying that lately all the capitalist imperialist countries are going crazier than they already are, promoting more war and more military expenditures and keeping these nuclear plants endangering humanity. The Japanese imperialist government is a crackpot government that even had a prime minister that was in bed with the reactionary church, the Moonites. And you know, that very same church, they own a manufacturing weapons factory called Car Arms, which is based in Massachusetts. And they produce pistols that the cops call the Mooney pistols. So these weapons manufacturers were practically in bed with the AV government of the former Prime Minister of Japan. This is the very same crazy church that has ceremonies of blessings of M16s. What kind of church is that? And what kind of a government wants to be close to, a church like that? is absolutely crazy, but that's what the former Japanese Prime Minister kept as his close friends. The United States and Japan want to encircle the People's Republic of China. And we want to say the Chinese people are not our enemies. They are not. They are not our enemies. They are our friends. Like all peoples in the world. And we have to stop this Yankee imperialist, Japanese imperialist war drive against the Chinese people. The main enemy is at home. Why is that? Because the capitalists that run this country are based right here in our cities, in this country, in Congress, in Washington. Sorry. So that's what we got to organize against. In this war that is going on in Ukraine, the United States is spending billions of dollars. The Federal Republic of Germany is spending billions of dollars. The UK, all these imperialist countries in their war crazy drive in Ukraine. That doesn't mean that we do support the crap-out capitalist Russian regime. Don't get me wrong on that. You know, we do oppose all foreign intervention in Ukraine, and particularly pillaging their resources. So we say, down with NATO and the military imperialist alliance. We got to oppose that. All the peoples of the world have to stand up against all those military treaties, because these crazy imperialists are going to destroy humanity. They don't think. You know, people fear about the common insane person in the street. No, the biggest insane persons are the ones that are running these imperialist countries. Right here. And, you know, because they got their hands in the nuclear buttons. And the world has previously been close to nuclear war. And actually, unfortunately, the Japanese people has been the only people on earth that have been dropped, you know, nuclear weapons on top of them. So, you know, they got the experience of that tragedy. Right there in the island of Okinawa, there are numerous military bases that the Okinawan people don't want. They want the American military bases out of there. They want out of there. U.S. out of Okinawa. I come from Puerto Rico, and for decades we have been fighting against the American military bases, and we were able to kick the United States Navy out of Vieques. Why? Because people all over the island, with international solidarity, we gather and we protest, we did occupy, and we got them out. That's what the people in Okinawa and in Japan has to do. And once they kick the American forces out, they got to watch out and oppose that Japan does not build, you know, a military imperialist machine of their own. Because the main problem right here between, you know, behind the curtains is this. It's the capitalist system. It is the capitalist system. You know, it's not good nor bad capitalist governments. They're all for obtaining profits, for exploiting cheap labor, for exploiting the working class wherever it is. And we got to stop the illusions that the liberal politicians in this country are going to do something for us. Many of us, well, not me, but certainly some people, were having hopes on Bernie Sanders. What did he do? He voted for the F-35 super fighter bomber. AOC, what did she do? She voted for the war budget for the Ukraine. So what does that tell you? That no matter how, you know, nice-talking politician that supports capitalist campaigns, He's going to betray you. He's going to betray us. He's going to sell us down the river. So I just want to end by saying, we got to build the Workers' Party that, will champion our needs and will overthrow this system of exploitation, capitalism, right here and elsewhere in the world. Thank you.
Tsukuru Force. She's from the Los Angeles.
Thank you so much. My name is Tsukuru Force. I am based in LA, anti-nuclear, anti-war, trans rights, healthcare justice activist, among other things. Really, really excited, and maybe not excited is the right word actually, but really glad to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for No Nukes Action for organizing this after 12 years, because Fukushima should not be forgotten. So that's why we are here. So before I go on though, I wrote out something, but I would like to say three things, because these three things are very important to me. So even though this is an anniversary of the Fukushima disaster, this is also the anniversary of the great Tohoku earthquake and tsunami that took so many lives. So I want to be mindful by mentioning that and remembering these victims as well, because a lot of people's lives were changed forever by that quake. Secondly, I would like us to remember US soldiers of the Operation Tomodachi, Operation Friendship, who were dispatched to the disaster area after the disaster. They were actually on their ship, off the coast of Fukushima. And you know what happened? When the accident happened, most of the radioactive particles were actually blown to the ocean. So they got a lot of exposure. They tried to sue, but what happened? The court case was thrown out, and I actually don't know what happened after that. But let's remember these soldiers too, because some of them passed away. Some of them got sick, but nobody is talking about them. This is injustice. We have to talk about them too. Thirdly, so I think the Chizu-san was mentioning nuclear renaissance, and this is something that we have to keep our mind on, really should be watching what's being talked about right now. I am a former business consultant, so I get a lot of newsletter in terms of stocks and investments. It's horrendous. It's very, very scary right now. There's this newsletter publisher that publishes nuclear industry related investment advice every single day. I get that because I subscribe to them as an opposition research. So they are talking to these young, tech business-minded types, and saying that yes, nuke is green, nuke is climate, climate justice. Yes, and actually some investment companies put nuclear industry stocks in the climate portfolio. So please keep it in mind. We have to fight these narratives. That means we have to fight harder, we have to talk louder, we have to get more people together and tell the truth. So, okay, so having said that, I went on and on, but I have something that I wrote. So, so despite the negligence and lies by the Japanese government and TEPCO, so many of our fellow activists, and especially people who were directly affected by the disaster, are still speaking out and fighting, just like us. So, demanding that the lies and the cover-ups be exposed and justice be served. And I think it is the persistence of those who won't give up the fight that continues to empower me and to give me the strength to keep on fighting. So I really, I'm grateful to these people, to you, basically. So on this 12th anniversary of the disaster, I would like to quote one of the mantras that I've heard from many Okinawan elders who are fighting the occupation of their land by the US military bases. So the quote is, "We will never lose till we give up." So we will never lose as long as we are fighting. So today, I would like to report, this is a very important announcement to me and to all of you. I would like to report the city of West Hollywood. The city council has just passed a resolution to oppose Japan and TEPCO's plan of discharging the wastewater from Fukushima nuclear power plant. Yes, this is the first of this kind of resolution in the United States, if not the world. And we have to keep going and pass the resolution all over the West Coast, coastal cities. Yes, San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland. Some people are already working in San Diego, Laguna Beach, and Hilo, Hawaii. So we have to keep building this network so that we can, first of all, we can educate people, because many people don't know that this water is being released. So this is, one of our strategies that we are using to get city council involved so that we can spread the word. Whether or not, hopefully these city councils pass the resolution, but even though they don't pass the resolution, it gives us a vehicle to talk about this issue. Where was I? Okay, so I would like the Japanese government and TEPCO to know, that the people all over the world are watching. And we are saying, no, we will never be silenced, and we will never give up. And as we stand here, we are not just fighting for a nuclear-free future or the world without war, even though it's very important, but we are fighting for the world free of capitalism, imperialism, and colonialism, racism, and homophobia, transphobia, and poverty. And I would like to say finally, I'm trans. I just came from Sacramento. I participated in a rally yesterday. So I just would like to say, all this craziness that's happening in this country against me and my brothers and sisters, LGBTQ plus people, don't you think it's just odd? I mean, there are so many other issues that we have to talk about. Poverty, war, that's like this crazy war that's going on. I mean, why are we talking about this? Me existing, does that hurt you?
You're a bunch of haters.
No. So please, let's come together and fight for what's important. What gives all people the freedom and security to live their life fully. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Scrooge. Next speaker is Peter.
I'm so grateful that so many people have turned out to call this deadly situation to attention. We have to be persistent. We can't give up. We have to go forward. And we have to call out the dishonesty that we see in our government. The most insulting thing that happened in the last week with respect to Ukraine is that, to no one's surprise, Russia continues to be vicious and deadly with their attacks on civilian homes with missiles. Last week there was an attack with 80 missiles on civilian structures. And there was a battle over a city that continues called Bakhmut. And the Russians are not being defeated. They're not being driven out. It's not about willpower or some baloney like that. This war will go on forever until we insist on a ceasefire at the beginning. Last week, our Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, had the nerve to say in the wake of a huge assault on the citizens of that city that it's really only symbolic. It's not strategic. He dismissed the lives of those people with those words. And it shows us that, our military establishment doesn't care about human life. It really doesn't. We have to persist in our opposition to the war and try to bring about that ceasefire as soon as possible. Even though it's clear our president totally opposes any kind of negotiations. He's sacrificing the people of Central Europe. That's what he's doing. A bloodbath doesn't matter to him. It matters to us. Let's stay strong in our opposition. Thank you.
But then Eric, you want?
Hi everyone, my name's Eric Curry. I wasn't planning on speaking today, but it is my incredible honor to be here with you all. And I don't know if excitement is the right phrase, but it is incredibly exciting to see so many of your faces that I've recognized. I just got back from Washington, D.C., and I'm going to share you the same message that I shared with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. My name is Eric Curry. I'm from San Francisco, California, and I will not be paying back a single penny of my student loans. Not a single damn dime. I'll give you 3 different options who you can get my money from. You can get it from Zelensky, who you really should be getting it from. Or you can get it from Paul Pelosi. Or you can get it from the football guy, Tom Brady. Or you can even get it from Jay-Z. So there we go. I'll give you 4 different options. Why? Because the latter 3 had over $5 million in PPP loans forgiven, and they didn't have to deal with the Supreme Court. So I know that we're here about nukes. And the thing is, I fought tooth and nail to get this crook into the White House, okay? So yes, I take it incredibly personally. I wasted a lot of money that I don't have, and you're coming after me for $40,000 that you're not gonna get. I already told you who you can get my money from. But this is what I've been telling people, right? I know that Joe Biden has been waiting his entire career. We all know how long he's been in there screwing things up, Senator from Delaware. We all know this, right? But he's been waiting his entire career to start this war with China. And I have plenty of people say, oh, you're saying, I'm here saying it. It's a real threat. And it's something that all of us have to be up in arms about. What we need right now is solidarity on steroids. That's what we need right now. Everybody needs to get in the streets. Why? Because during the pandemic, guess who held the country up? The working class. They can't do it without us. So let's stick it to them and show them, because I'm tired of my tax dollars being used to drop bombs on the third world, all right? My mother had to flee a civil war in El Salvador to come to the United States because of bombs being dropped from a US-backed civil war going on over there. And we keep repeating the story every 6 months, it seems, and I'm sick and tired of it. Thank you.
And then Cynthia.
That was incredible, Eric. I love your passion. I love your passion, and I love your truth-telling also. So the Japanese consulate is inside this building, and so is Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin is the worldwide largest weapons manufacturer, and they are soaked in blood. Lockheed Martin. And the Japanese government, and every government that buys weapons, is a client of Lockheed Martin. And thank you, Steve, so much. Thank you for gathering us together today. So I'm from Code Pink, and we want to shut Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant. Toot sweet. And we're going to use dogs to do it. You laugh. Okay, we haven't tried it yet. Jellyfish have closed Diablo twice. And so why can't the creatures help each other out here? This dog and his colleagues, and there's about 30 of them, are going to gather together, and they're going to have a press conference to announce a strike against PG&E, because I think we should be boycotting this company. They're a criminal private corporation, and so I want to really give people the opportunity to pledge to boycott, to pledge to have a ratepayer strike against this criminal corporation. They can pledge, and when we get to a threshold of 500, we could activate, or 1,000, or 3,000, or however many ratepayers want to strike against this company, because they're killing us with their wildfires and their lack of maintenance and their Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant, which it doesn't even have a license to operate beyond next year. PG&E is criminal, and we should not let them get away with destroying the economy of California, destroying our lives, destroying everyone's lives. That radiation is not going to stay in one place. So many people here were part of the Shut Diablo Canyon before it opened, right? Right. There are people here, and we're still here. I'm late to it, but Harvey Wasserman and the Mothers for Peace in San Luis Obispo are fighting the NRC, and we should do everything we can to help them out. I just want to read one line from the article that Harvey just published in Counterpunch. If humankind has a global death wish, commercial atomic power, at least as much as atomic weaponry, is clearly it. If we wish to survive, we need to bury it immediately and forever.
How about Bindu?
I am so proud to be here. I could burst. Chizu, I want to single her name out. I have to stop for a minute. I remember March the 11th, 2011. I couldn't sleep that night because there was fear that Tokyo might need to be evacuated. Tokyo is 20 million people. And to me, all of you, I'm just naming Chizu because she's our inspiration, is a true citizen. And we need citizens like her if we are going to save our increasingly endangered species. And just one thing, I think it was Westinghouse that built Fukushima, or General Electric. Okay, I know an Indian scientist who helped build the plant in Tarapur. This anecdote, please remember, when they built 85% of the plant, they wanted it signed off since it's complete. The other 15% was all safety. This man, unfortunately for them, had integrity. So he wouldn't sign off. So they got to 90. And then they said, every man has a price, every man has a price. What's your price? What's your price? Well, he didn't have a price. So they went up to 98% safety. At 98%, of course, they influenced the Prime Minister of India and so forth. But that is the only plant in the world that the safety features 13 or 15% were put there. Victory for all those who are fighting nuclear power. Victory for all those who are fighting for peace. China is not our enemy. China is not India's enemy. And we all will either hang together or we'll definitely hang separately. Chizu, Zindabad, long live Chizu.
No nukes action have been gathering since this Fukushima meltdown. We had over 100 times rally, mostly the monthly 11th of rally. And each time we wrote a letter to the Prime Minister. Okay, this time School Force wrote wonderful letter to Prime Minister. So let her speak it loud. Please, thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'll read a letter that I wrote to Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Every year when March 11th comes around, I sit down in front of my PC to write a letter to whomever holds the position of Japan's prime ministership. Every year, it gets harder than the last. And this year's letter took me literally days to write. Why is it so hard? Because I know that I will never get a response from you or the Liberal Democratic Party, because I know that most likely this letter will not produce the results, the intended results. Then why would I write it? Because I owe it to people who have been hurt by the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster 12 years ago. I owe it to people who are still in unbearable pain today due to the loss of loved ones places that they called home, their livelihood, and their health. And I write on behalf of people who cannot speak for themselves. Thank you. My dear friend, Michiko, a Fukushima evacuee, passed away 3 years ago at age 50. Sorry. She died of ovarian cancer, which she was diagnosed with after the Fukushima nuclear disaster. I'm writing this letter today because she'll be writing one herself if she was still here with us. I'm writing because she would want me to write. Whenever I hear that no one died as a direct result of the nuclear disaster, I feel sick to my stomach. I know neither the government nor TEPCO will never admit that people's health may have been negatively impacted by the disaster. As of December 2022, among people who were 18 years old or younger at the time of the accident, 338 people have been diagnosed with thyroid cancer. The average occurrence of thyroid cancer among children is 1 to 2 in million. Despite the abnormally high number of cases, the government and TEPCO still deny the correlation between the high cancer rate and the nuclear disaster. By employing the similar logic of assumed safety, the government of Japan and TEPCO are planning to get away with dumping the wastewater from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean. By doing so, Japan and TEPCO will be exposing the environment and the health of people and the animals worldwide to unnecessary and irreversible risks. I find this extremely irresponsible and unconscionable. Prime Minister Kishida, I want you to know that we are watching and raising our voices of concern. We will not allow Japan and TEPCO to go through with this planned dumping. I immigrated to the United States from Japan 32 years ago. It used to make me happy to hear people say that how much they love Japan, and how much they love Japan and our old way of coexisting with nature. Now, when I hear that, it makes me sad and angry. I think Japan has lost its way. Japan is my motherland, and many people whom I love call home. In order to restore Japan and make it a prosperous country for all its residents, and a responsible member of the global community, I ask you, Prime Minister Kishida, to start with 3 things. Firstly, declare Japan a nuclear-free nation. Steer Japan away from nuclear power generation and invest in environmentally sound, sustainable alternative ways. Sign and ratify the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons and join 68 nations in the global effort to abolish nuclear weapons forever.
Yes.
Secondly, protect Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution, which outlaws war and chooses diplomacy to settle international disputes. That's something that Japan and Japanese people can be proud of. Say no to the US military bases on Japan's soil. And move away from the grips of the US war machine. Move away from conflicts and antagonistic relationships and start fostering collaboration with your neighbors, such as Korea and China. Thirdly, abandon the plan of discharging wastewater from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Adopt alternative solutions that protect the health of the environment and the people worldwide. Conduct realistic assessment of risks from the existing radioactive contamination domestically in Japan and take actions accordingly to protect people, minimize and reverse the damage where possible. For the future of Japan, the motherland that I still love after 32 years of moving away from her, Prime Minister Kishida, I ask you to be the leader and to do the right thing. Thank you.
Do you know that April 13th, about 2 years ago, the Japan government announced to dump the water so that we have global action that we are sending to Japan, like a Fukushima prefecture government and then 2 towns mayor who are pushing the water to the Pacific. So I hope you can write the letter. I think I distributed already to Japan, the 3 addresses. And the one for this is the Japanese General Counsel who is in the Japanese government's window. We must send them too. So thank you for the cooperation. And then April 13th, next month, we are here again at 1 p.m. to protest for the dumping water. So hope you can join us too. Steve, you have something? It's okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. And so, shut down all the nukes! Shut down all the nukes!